Highway 66, Arizona, 1975. The neon lights flickered dimly on the front of Betty's Diner, one of those roadside restaurants where travelers stopped for a quick break before continuing on their journey. Creedence Clearwater Revival played softly, on the old jukebox in the background. Noah Sullivan entered silently, walking up to the counter with measured steps. His black leather jacket was worn, his cap hid part of his dark hair, and his boots marked the floor with firm but discreet steps. To everyone else, he was just another lonely young man getting something to eat. But to Johnny Mad Dog Turner, he was a nuisance. Sitting at a table in the corner with his two cronies, Frankie Two Teeth and Bobby Red, Johnny clicked, his tongue annoyed. His group ruled the place. They were big, greasy men dressed in leather jackets embroidered with the symbol of the Devil's Reapers, one of the most feared motorcycle clubs in the Southwest. "Look at that, boys." Johnny smirked, watching Noah. "A lonely little bird has landed on our territory," Frankie laughed, his two gold teeth shining under the yellow light from the ceiling. "And it looks like he doesn't know where he's gotten himself into." Bobby, quieter, just stared at Noah curiously. Something in the boy's manner bothered him, as if there was an air of danger contained within him. But Johnny, too proud, didn't notice. Noah ordered a burger and a bottle of Coke. He remained silent, his eyes fixed on the counter, ignoring the provocations around him. But Johnny wanted a reaction. He stood up, walked over to Noah and leaned on the counter next to him, smiling smugly. "Hey, big guy, are you lost?" he said, nudging Noah on the shoulder. No answer. Johnny looked at his friends and laughed. Then he grabbed Noah's bottle of Coke and tipped it on the counter, spilling the dark liquid everywhere. The waitress Maggie, a middle-aged woman used to dealing with troublesome bikers, widened her eyes but remained frozen. "Now you have a problem, kid," Johnny whispered. That's when Noah looked up. His green eyes met Johnny's with a cold, cutting look. No fear, no anger, just silent calculation. And for the first time that night, Johnny felt a chill run down his spine. Something was very wrong here. The silence in the diner grew thick as smoke. All eyes were on Noah and Johnny. Spilled liquid ran down the counter, dripping onto the worn tile floor. Noah didn't move a muscle. He just grabbed a napkin, slowly dried his hands, and rested them. On his thighs, Johnny smirked. "What's wrong? Are you speechless, big guy?" Frankie and Bobby laughed. Maggie, the waitress, took a step back, sensing something was about to happen. "Let's see if he has anything to say now." Bobby grabbed Noah's cap and threw it on the floor. Noah looked down at the cap. He took a deep breath. "Okay." I tried to stop him. Johnny raised his fist to push him again, but before he could touch him, Noah moved. The young man slid to the side with surprising speed, dodging the blow as if he had anticipated every move. Before Johnny could react, Noah grabbed his wrist and twisted it slightly, making the biker grunt in pain. "What?" Noah didn't answer. He just pressed Johnny's arm against the counter and with a simple movement bent the biker's wrist at an uncomfortable angle. Johnny screamed and tried to pull his hand away, but it was as if he were trapped in an iron trap. "I don't want to fight," Noah finally said, his voice low and calm. "But if you keep forcing the situation, I can't guarantee that you'll get out of here without getting hurt." Frankie and Bobby exchanged glances. That didn't make sense. The kid looked frail, but he easily dominated Johnny. "Let him go." Frankie advanced. Noah let go of Johnny just as Frankie threw a punch. But his fist met only emptiness. Noah ducked at the last second, spun on one foot, and with one swift movement struck Frankie in the side of the knee. The brute fell to the side, screaming in pain. Bobby froze. Johnny held his wrist, surprised and furious. "Who the hell are you?" Johnny growled. Noah picked up his cap from the floor, dusted it off, and put it back on his head. "Just a guy who wanted to eat his dinner in peace." Silence filled the diner. Maggie gripped the counter, her mouth agape. The few customers there stared at Noah as if he were a mirage. Johnny was shaking with rage. It wouldn't stay like this. "You're going to pay for this, kid." He spat the words. Noah just stared at him, emotionless. "If you want to try, again, I'll be here." And then, as if nothing had happened, he sat back down and picked up the burger he had ordered. But he knew. Johnny wasn't going to let this go, and he was right. The diner returned to normal, at least for those who didn't know what was about to happen. Johnny and his cronies stormed off, but Noah knew that wasn't the end. Cleaning the last bits of burger off his plate, he noticed Maggie, the waitress, looking at him with a mixture of shock and concern. "You should get out of here before things get worse," she said softly, leaning over the counter. Noah looked up, chewed slowly, and smiled slightly. "Do you think they'll come back?" "I know they will. These guys never let it go." Noah sighed. It was always like that. Outside, the motorcycle engines roared in the distance. Johnny and the others were gone. But for how long? Johnny kicked the door of the bar where the gang usually met. His face burned with anger and humiliation. That kid needs to be taught a lesson. Bobby, who was still limping from the blow to his knee, grumbled, "I don't know, man. He's not normal. Did you see how he moves?" "So what?" Johnny grabbed Bobby by the jacket. "Are you scared of some skinny guy in a cap?" Frankie, rubbing his sore shoulder, interrupted. "It's not a question of whether he hits well or not. It's a question of who the hell he is." Silence fell over the group. Johnny took a deep breath and released Bobby. "Then we'll find out." He turned to Duke, a mechanic in the gang, and said, "There's a way to find out who he is. We can follow the bastard." Duke, who rarely got into fights, shrugged. "Does the guy have a car?" "No," Johnny said, gritting his teeth. "He's alone. On foot." Duke laughed. "Then it shouldn't be that hard." Noah finished his coffee and left some bills on the counter. Maggie walked over quickly. "Are you leaving now?" "Yes." "Do you have a car?" "No." She bit her lower lip. "They're going to come after—" Noah put on his cap and stared at her for a second. "I know." And with that, he pushed open the door and walked out into the cold night. He didn't look back. He didn't need to. The trouble was just beginning. The Nevada night was freezing, but Noah walked as if the cold didn't exist. His cap cast a shadow over his watchful eyes. He could feel it. He was being followed. The lights of the diner were left behind, and the silence of the road became his only companion. The headlights of some motorcycles shone in the distance. They were coming. Noah kept up his pace. Running wouldn't do any good. He would have to face them. At the gang's bar, Johnny Turner tapped his foot impatiently. He left the diner about 5 minutes ago. Duke, fiddling with some tools on the counter, laughed. "Are you telling me this guy doesn't have a car, doesn't have a motorcycle, doesn't have anything?" "Nothing. He's walking around in the middle of nowhere like he's not afraid of shit." Duke whistled. "That's either because he's stupid, or he's really good." Johnny clenched his fist. "We'll find out now." Frankie and Bobby were already wearing helmets, ready to get on their bikes. "Let's surround him. No messing around this time," Johnny ordered. The engines roared and the group set off. Noah heard the sound of the bikes cutting across the road. There were 3 of them. He stopped. There was no point in pretending he didn't know. The deserted road had only a single street light illuminating the worn asphalt. Noah leaned against it as if he were waiting for a bus. The headlights of the bikes shone as they stopped in a circle around him. Johnny got off first. Well. The genius decided to go for a ride. Noah didn't answer. He just stared at the men in front of him. Bobby, still smarting from the previous beating, clenched his fists. "You should have kept quiet, kid." Noah sighed. "Do you guys still want to try?" Frankie stepped forward. "We have no choice." Johnny smiled and pulled a pocket knife from his pocket. "There's no audience now." Noah kept his gaze fixed. This wouldn't end well for them. Johnny stepped forward, and then it all happened in a matter of seconds. Johnny Turner lunged forward like a predator, the glint of his knife reflecting the yellow light from the street lamp. Noah didn't back away. He didn't need to. The instant Johnny tried to thrust the blade at him, Noah dodged to the side, twisted his body, and grabbed his attacker's wrist with a sharp, precise movement. The twist was instantaneous. Crack! Johnny screamed, pain exploding in his joint. The knife flew from his hand and clattered to the asphalt. Before he could react, Noah stepped forward and landed a sharp blow to Johnny's solar plexus. The biker leader collapsed to his knees. panting, his eyes wide. The world spun for Johnny. How had it happened so fast? Bobby and Frankie exchanged a look. It was now or never. They both attacked at the same time. Bobby tried to punch Noah straight in the face. Fatal mistake. Noah lowered his head at just the right moment and, with a twist of his hips, threw an elbow into his opponent's ribs. The impact made Bobby grunt and stagger backwards. Frankie, on the other hand, tried to grab him from behind. Another mistake. Noah grabbed his attacker's arm, twisted his body, and used Frankie's own strength against him. With one well-aimed blow, he threw the man to the ground. All of this in a matter of seconds. The dust settled. Bobby was kneeling, holding his ribs. Frankie groaned in pain on the asphalt. And Johnny couldn't even breathe properly. Noah bent down, picked up the pocket knife from the ground and twirled it between his fingers before throwing it away. Then he leaned over to Johnny. "Are we done here?" he asked, without a trace of arrogance. Johnny gritted his teeth, but he knew the answer. Noah stood up, adjusted his cap on his head, and began walking down the dark road. The motorcycles were left behind. The three men were left behind, but the story was far from over, because someone was watching. And what Noah did on that lonely road was about to become public. The sound of a motorcycle roaring in the distance was the only thing Noah heard before disappearing into the darkness of the road. He thought the fight was over. He was wrong. A few dozen meters away, an old car was parked. Inside it, a man was holding a portable camera, one of those new technological inventions that were starting to appear everywhere. He had filmed the whole thing. His name was Raymond Ellis, a freelance journalist looking for stories that would sell. He was passing through the area when he saw the bikers surrounding Noah. Something told him that this would make good material, but he had no idea what he was about to capture. Raymond watched the recording on the camera's small screen and let out a low whistle. This is worth its weight in gold. Wasting no time, he started the car and drove to a small motel in the neighboring town. He needed to send this to someone big. The next morning, the recording had already reached the right hands. Across the country, in a room filled with cigarette smoke, an editor at an independent newspaper put the cassette in the television and pressed play. The picture started out grainy but soon became clear. He saw three bikers bullying a skinny kid in a roadside diner. He saw them taunting, he saw them attacking, and then he saw something unbelievable. The kid taking down three huge men in seconds, with surgical precision. The editor's eyes widened. This was unbelievable. I need this in the paper right now. Within hours, the footage was in several newsrooms. A small local TV station broadcast the footage, then a larger channel, and then the whole country was watching. Back in the small town, Noah walked into the diner the next morning, unaware of anything. The stares came instantly. The bartender, the customers at the tables, even the cook in the back. Everyone knew who he was now. Someone turned on the radio. And in the most surprising news of the day, a mysterious video recorded on a remote road shows a young man taking down three motorcyclists with fighting skills that look like they're straight out of an action movie. Noah froze. This couldn't be happening. But it was. And he had no idea that the worst was yet to come, because Johnny had seen the video too. And now, he wanted revenge. The roar of engines was heard before Noah could see anything. He was sitting at a table in the back of the diner, drinking coffee and trying to figure out how his life had changed in less than 24 hours. The video of him was spreading like wildfire, and now everyone seemed to know who he was. But he didn't have much time to think. Boom! The door to the diner was kicked open. Three men entered first, and behind them, Johnny Mad Dog Turner appeared. Only this time he wasn't alone. 7 bikers entered the place, filling the room with black leather, heavy boots, and a strong smell of gasoline and stale beer. It didn't take Noah long to figure out who they were. He recognized the insignia on their leather vests. Devil's Hounds, one of the most violent motorcycle gangs in the area. Men who didn't mess around. Noah calmly put down his coffee cup and looked around. The entire restaurant had frozen. People knew something bad was about to happen. Johnny smiled. "You think you can humiliate us and get away with it?" Noah remained silent. He knew that talking wouldn't change anything. One of the bikers, a big brute named Rick, walked over and bumped his fists together, cracking his knuckles. "You're out of luck this time, kid." Noah took a deep breath. He knew that fighting 3 was one thing, but 7? That was another story. Still, he wasn't going to run. He slowly stood up. The biker smiled, thinking he was scared, but what came next was something no one expected. The restaurant fell silent. The bikers had the advantage in numbers, 7 against 1. But Noah didn't see it that way. He saw a chessboard, the table near the door, the stainless steel counter, the chairs thrown about haphazardly, the narrow space between the rows of tables. He took it all in seconds. So when Rick, the brute, moved first, Noah moved. Instead of retreating, he attacked. Rick threw a heavy punch, aiming for Noah's face. But Noah was gone. He ducked at the last moment and with one precise movement grabbed the biker's arm and used his own weight against him. Rick flew into a table, hitting it hard and knocking over chairs. The others took a second to react. Noah wasted no time. He moved toward the counter. There was only room for one at a time. The bikers tried to surround him, but Noah used the structure of the restaurant to limit their movements. One of them tried to grab him from behind. Noah grabbed a salt shaker from the table and threw it in the attacker's eyes. The man screamed, trying to rub his face. 4 were still standing. Johnny Mad Dog. Turner pulled out a pocket knife. "Now you've gone too far, kid." Noah glared at Johnny. The biker came at him, his pocket knife shining in the fluorescent light of the restaurant. Noah waited. Johnny lunged forward with a quick strike. Noah dodged it by millimeters and grabbed the biker's wrist. With a sudden twist, Johnny felt his own weight betray him. He fell hard onto a table and the pocket knife slid away. Noah took a deep breath. 8 seconds. In 8 seconds he had taken out 4 of the 7, but the remaining 3 weren't going to go down so easily. And now, Noah was cornered. The restaurant still smelled of grease and coffee, but the atmosphere was now one of pure tension. Johnny Mad Dog Turner stood up slowly, rubbing his arm. The glint of hate in his eyes made it clear. He wasn't going to let this go. The 3 remaining bikers, Rick, Dwayne, and Chester, looked at each other. They knew they couldn't beat Noah with brute force, so they decided to cheat. Dwayne, the fastest of the group, pulled out a chair and threw it at Noah's feet. A street prank. Noah stumbled for a second, and that second was all they needed. Rick took advantage and landed a punch in Noah's ribs. The pain was like an electric shock. Noah backed away, clutching his side. "Wow, not so invincible, huh, kid?" Johnny scoffed, spitting on the ground. Noah looked up. His instincts screamed, "Don't react in anger, don't fall for their game." Dwayne was already pulling another chair to try to unbalance him again. Noah knew what to do. Before Dwayne could throw the chair, Noah kicked the counter. The impact caused a tray full of coffee cups to fall directly onto the bikers. Hot coffee flew everywhere. Dwayne screamed as the hot liquid burned his arms. Rick, distracted, let his guard down. Noah wasted no time. He spun his body and landed a kick straight at Rick's chin. The big guy staggered back and hit the wall, passing out instantly. Now there were only 2 left, Chester and Johnny still had a pocket knife. Silence returned to the restaurant. Noah took a deep breath. He didn't know what was coming next, but he knew he couldn't lose. The restaurant was silent. All the customers had moved away, leaving an empty space in the middle of the room. Noah and Johnny stared at each other. Johnny twirled the knife in his fingers, a cruel smile on his face. "You should have kept quiet, kid. Now you're going to learn the hard way." Noah didn't answer. He didn't need to. He just watched. The way Johnny held the knife, the weight of his body on his right leg, the way his breathing was rapid. Johnny was nervous. That was good. The biker advanced, first trying to strike Noah directly in the chest, but Noah was expecting it. He moved to the side at the last second, dodging with precision. The blow went wide. Johnny tried again. This time, Noah blocked his arm with his left hand and with a quick movement, caught his enemy's fist. Pressure. Rotation. Disarm. The knife fell to the ground. Johnny barely had time to react. Noah turned his body and landed a sharp punch in his stomach. The biker doubled over in pain, falling to his knees. He was breathing heavily. He looked defeated. Johnny, mad dog. Turner was finished. Noah picked up the knife from the ground and threw it on the counter. It's over. The restaurant remained silent. And then, one of the customers started clapping. Another followed, then another. In seconds, the entire restaurant was applauding. The fallen bikers got up one by one, humiliated. Johnny looked around, realizing that no one respected him anymore. He growled, spat on the ground, and walked to the door. Before leaving, he looked at Noah and said, "This isn't over yet." But Noah knew it was over. Johnny would never dare to face him again. He took a deep breath, grabbed his jacket, and headed for the exit. When he passed the waitress who had served him, she smiled. "Do you want some coffee before you go?" Noah laughed. "I think I've had enough coffee for today." And with that, he left the restaurant, leaving behind a night no one would ever forget. The end.